Hello everybody, welcome to practice. Thanks for joining me, it's Emma here. Today we've got a mostly seated and definitely close to the ground practice working up to a pose called Marichyasana A, or in English, pose dedicated to the great sage Marichi. And in yoga there are 8 poses dedicated to this sage, but today we're just looking at the very first one, which is a forward bend, a seated asymmetric forward bend to be more precise, where we have one leg straight, one leg bent. And we have a bind around the bent leg. So there's quite a few things going on, and in particular we need to have deep flexion at the hip, we need to have complete closure at the knee joint, and we need to have some quite deep internal rotation of the shoulder to get into the bind. So what we're going to do in this class is we're going to practice poses which help us to develop those particular actions so that we're ready to practice Marichyasana later in the class. One of the things, although Marichyasana is a challenging pose for sure, one of the things that is good about the pose is that you can take it in stages and just work to where you are on any particular day. Two things that might be helpful as props are a strap and a flat yoga block, which you may want to put under your hips, and the strap can help us with the bind. Okay, I think that's, the only other thing I wanted to say was, with any pose that involves a bind, if you have perhaps a rotator cuff injury, or you've injured your shoulder in some way in the past, or you have, definitely if you have a current injury, you'll want to be super careful with any pose that has a bind in it, okay? All right, okay, well, we're going to start lying down on our backs in this pose, in this class. So come down to your back, have your knees bent for a moment, and just adjust yourself onto the mat and allow yourself to feel grounded and comfortable, actually. We'll take a few good deep breaths down here. I'm in constructive rest, but equally you could take Shavasana or reclined bound angle. Just allow your attention to draw in and getting ready to approach the practice with an open heart and an open mind. Not expecting anything of the practice other than the practice itself. Nothing to achieve other than practicing. Okay, from where you are, I want you to bring your right knee to either the chest or outside the rib cage, whichever feels best, and give the knee a good squeeze in. Now, if you want, you can keep your left leg bent, or if you want to, you can straighten it along the mat. That will change the pose a little, so just decide which feels right for you. Flex your feet and take deep breaths for about 5 more. So this pose hits a couple of our actions in one pose. We have on this right side a deep flexion happening at the hip, and we also have the knee closed, completely closed. Now let's release the hold on the knee and just take the knee outside the ribs if it's not already, and reach up and grab the inside of your foot. Now, if that's not available, hold behind the thigh and draw the knee outside the rib cage. You're working into half happy baby pose. You might notice that your left leg is no longer straight along the mat. That's fine. You can also bring your left foot to the mat if you like. Relax your right shoulder. I don't know about you, I have a bit of a love-hate with Half Happy Baby. I find it so much harder than Happy Baby itself. Keep your belly drawing in. And then release and bring the left knee in and then the right knee in as well. Let's hug both knees in, and then maybe you'll take a little rock from side to side. You could also do a few circles, or you could just be still. All right, let's drop the right foot and hug your left knee either into your chest or take it wider and hug towards the shoulder really. And if you'd like to, straighten your right leg, flexing both your feet. Relax your shoulders down. So remember, deep flexion at the hip, complete close of the knee joint is happening on the left side. Last few breaths here. And then move your knee out to the side, sole of the foot to the ceiling. Reach up and either grab inside your foot or grab behind your thigh. Maybe apply a little gentle pressure, helping your knee to draw a bit further down. Not worrying too much about your right leg. You can actively work on straightening it if you like, or you could just take that out of the equation by bending your right knee and bringing the sole of the foot to the mat. Let's stay a bit longer. Okay, bring the right knee in, bring the left knee in as well. Have a little squeeze, knees to chest. Maybe a bit of movement, whatever you like. And then from here, we're going to come up to a seated position. So either roll to your side or roll along your spine. And come and join me in any kind of comfortable seat. So I'm going to sit cross-legged, but you could sit in Dandasana or you could even kneel. And you can sit on a folded up blanket or you could sit on a block. Okay, so let's now turn our attention to the shoulders and the arms and the internal rotation of the arms. First of all, let's just remind ourselves what it means to rotate the arms in. So if you bring your arms up to shoulder height, first of all, let's talk about what it means to rotate the arms externally. So if you turn your palms forward and then your palms up to the ceiling, that is an external rotation of the arms, or the shoulders rather. Okay, bring your arms back, palms facing down. This time we'll start to bring the palms to the back of the mat, back of the room, thumb traveling down. This is an internal rotation. This is the key action of our bind, as well as having a really low shoulder. Now, maybe you can keep going so that eventually your palms start to face up again towards the ceiling. It's really challenging, isn't it? Let's stay for 5, 3. Last round of breath. Good. Bring it back, roll the shoulders, wriggle the wrists, wriggle the fingers. Okay, good. Let's do something similar. We're going to take the arms out in front of us with the palms facing. Okay, so now we're going to practice the action that we take to come into the bind. I want you to really expand across the back, reaching as far forward as you can. Okay, then we're going to turn the thumbs towards each other and the palms towards the sides, and then we're going to sweep the hands behind us and reach the fingers back. Sit with your chest lifted, belly drawing in, reach back as far as you can. Let's stay for about 5 breaths. Active fingers. 3, 4, 2, And one. Okay, shake it out through the fingers, the wrists, roll the shoulders. Good. Okay, if you haven't already, take your legs out in front of you. And we're going to set up into Gamakasana, the cow face pose. For this, you might want to grab your strap. Okay, let's first of all bend the right knee and then take your right knee over the left knee. And today we'll walk the toes out towards the left side. You can then keep your left leg straight, or you can lean over to the left and bend that leg as well. So we're looking to have one knee over the other-ish, okay? If you want to use your strap, pop it over your left shoulder, and then inhale, reach your left arm up into the air. Then bend your elbow, drop your fingers towards your right shoulder, and then sweep your right arm out to the side with the thumb down. So we're going into that internal rotation, bringing the arm behind you, bending the elbow, and then look to connect behind your back. If you are using the strap, just connect each hand to part of the strap and use it to draw your fingers a little closer to each other. Key things here are sitting tall through the spine, keeping the chest lifted, and keeping the elbows, well, the top elbow up, the bottom elbow down. And let's take some more deep breaths. If you really want to add some intensity, especially to the outside of your hips, you could inhale, lift up, and exhale, hinge forward towards your right leg. Okay, let's breathe in and come up. And then carefully, no hurry, release the arms and take some just releasing movements through the shoulders. Okay, from here, reach your right arm up and behind, and let's lengthen through the spine and take a gentle spinal twist to the right side. Bring your gaze over your right shoulder. And then bring it all back to the center. Okay, lean left, release your bottom leg, come back to Dandasana, and we'll do that on the other side. So bend your left knee, cross it over the right, foot out to the side, lean right, and bend your right leg as well. Remember, you can keep your right leg straight, no problem. Okay. So if you want to use the strap, drop it over your right shoulder. And then let's all reach up with the right arm, bend the elbow, drop the fingers to the shoulder. Sweep your left arm out with the thumb down. Keep rotating the arm in, bend the elbow, and look to connect behind the back or use the strap. Okay, sit tall. Lift up through the top elbow and down through the bottom elbow. Keep your chest lifted. If you wish, you can intensify by lifting and exhaling to hinge forward. And when you hinge forward, don't allow your arms to kind of cave in. Just keep the front body nice and open. If you have folded forward, inhale, come back up. And then together, let's release. And roll the shoulders, move as you need to, just to release any tension from the body. Okay, left hand behind, hold on to the left knee. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, gentle rotation to the left. Another couple of breaths. And then bring yourself back into the center. Okay, from here, we're going to come into downward facing dog. So release your pose and then make your way, whatever way works for you, into your first downward facing dog. So let's step in. We've been sat or lying down for quite a while, so you might want to pedal through the legs. You might want to wriggle a bit, and that's fine. Do whatever you need to. Hands about shoulder width.
Feet about hip width, knees can be bent, feet don't need to touch the mat. What I want you to focus on there is pushing the mat away, lengthening through the arms, lengthening through the sides of the body, pulling the belly in, and taking your gaze backwards towards either your feet, between your knees or between your thighs. If you're moving, come to stillness for a few breaths. On your next exhale, drop your knees down, and then let's step the right foot forward and breathe in to come up into a nice short low lunge. And then bring your hands to a prayer at the center of the chest. And then take your arms behind you into a prayer behind your back. Okay, so something like that. Now, if the palms don't touch, no problem. Your options are simply to touch the little fingers or the outside edges of the hands, or to hold opposite wrist or opposite elbow. Keep the chest open, belly drawing in. Have another couple of breaths. And then release your prayer or your connection, hands to mat, and let's go back to downward facing dog. Okay, a little pedal, have a little reset. And then let's take the knees down and step the left foot through. So coming up into our short lunge, hands to prayer at the heart center to begin. And then take your hands behind you, find a prayer. I'm so sorry, it's 31 degrees outside. I'm completely melting, and I think my brain is going as well. Okay, so hands in a prayer or any other connection. And open the shoulders, open the chest, belly draws in. Stay for another couple of breaths. Good, then release your hands to the mat. I'm going back to downward facing dog. And then from downward facing dog, let's go back to table. And from table, start to move into some cow and cat spinal extensions and flexions. So inhale, belly down, chest lifting forward, tailbone up. Exhale, tailbone under, a rounded spine, chin to chest, and pull the tummy in. Okay, carry on in your own time. If you want to get a bit creative, you can. From this foundation, you can go in all sorts of directions. You can stretch the wrists. You can go back. You can get into the shoulders and do some twisty movements. Or you can just stick with your cat and your cow. You can go to some wavy movements. Let's have another few breaths, doing whatever you're doing. Okay, now let's have one more round of breath. So last time into your cat stretch. Come back to your table and then head to child's pose. Maybe with the knees quite close together. And stretch your arms out in front of you and come onto your fingertips. Maybe bring your head down to the mat or onto a brick. So child's pose is a good pose for practicing closure at the knee. And also it's a forward bend. You've got the flexion at the hips as well. Okay, let's walk the hands back in, come up, and then spin around and come into Dandasana. Okay, so sit on a blanket or a brick if you like. Rock from side to side to get a better connection between your sit bones and the mat. Flex your feet, engage the legs, bring the hands at the side of the hips, and then sit tall through your back. You can either gaze to the tip of your nose, classic gaze, classic drishti, or you can look at your toes. And let's stay for 5 breaths. Final 2 deep rounds of breath. And then exhale, release your pose. Allow the heels to drop back if they were lifted. Okay, now let's practice seated forward bend, Hashimotonasana. I'll just turn to the side for this one. In fact, we're going to do a variation of the pose. So I want you to bend your knees, have your feet hip width apart, soles of the feet are on the mat. And then we're going to hinge forward from the hip so the chest touches the thighs. And we're going to bring the arms under the knees and maybe grab opposite elbow or grab opposite forearm. Then we'll lift the toes up and start to slide your heels away, keeping your chest and your thighs connected. Keep your spine long. Okay, now if you feel that you want to go further but your arms are in the way, you can release. You could grab your big toes, maybe sit for a halfway lift, and then exhale, go a bit deeper down. But focus on length through the spine, which you do not have to have the legs straight to do that. You can absolutely do that with the knees bent, and you've still got this closure here at the hip. So wherever you are, take about another 3 breaths. And from wherever you are, release your connections, whether that's your hands, your forearms, or your toes. Inhale, lengthen, lift, and then come back to Dandasana. So legs straight out in front of you. Okay, so now we're ready to practice Marichyasana A. So grab your brick and your strap if you think you might need them. And I'll talk you through how to do the pose. Okay, so you start in Dandasana. Then you will bend your right knee and bring your heel in as close as you can to your sit bones. So this is a complete closure of the knee joint that we're talking about. And you'll want to leave just a little space so that you can reach forward inside your right knee. Strong and straight through your extended leg. Think about Dandasana in that leg. And then you can have your left hand out to the side to support you. Then reach up with your right arm and then hinge forward from the right hip as far as you can, reaching your hand forward. Then to find the bind, we're going to rotate the right arm inwards. We're going to take it out, keep rotating, and then hook your elbow around your knee. Then sweep your left arm around and make a connection. This is where, if you don't have the connection, no problem, use your strap to help you. If you are still here at this point, inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, hinge forward more. Now avoid collapsing onto the left side. You're hinging over your left leg, and you're dropping your chin towards your shin and gazing at your toes. I'm just going to come to the side so you can see what that looks like from the side. Oh, and by the way, if you are concerned that your right bottom has lifted off the mat, that's no problem at all. In fact, it's supposed to be off the mat. But you can slide a block under if you like, if that helps you feel a bit more stable. Okay, to come out of the pose, release the bind. Inhale, lift the chest, and extend your right leg back to Dandasana. Good. How did you get on? The thing that's good about Marichyasana is that you can take it at each stage and stop at any point. So if you just want to work here on bringing the heel in and closing off the knee, you can. If you want to work here on reaching forward, you can. If you want to go with a bind, you can. And then finally, the forward bend at the end. So you can stop anywhere you like along that journey. Okay, let's do the left side. So bring your left heel in close to your sit bones, and already you might start to feel, especially the taller you sit up through the spine, feel that space now between left bottom and the mat. Straight and strong in the right leg. Use your right hand for support. Reach up, hinge forward as far as you can, and then rotate your arm inwards. Keep going, and then wrap it around your knee. Sweep your right arm around, make the connection behind your back. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, hinging forward. Okay, so let's stay for about 5 deep breaths. Remember, staying wherever you have landed. All is good. Deep breaths. Remember what we were saying at the beginning. There is nothing to achieve, there is only practice. Okay, to come out, release the bind if you have it. Inhale, lift up the chest. Bring the knee in and back to Dandasana. Okay, how was that? Good. Okay, let's bend the knees and come into a cross-legged position. Before we finish the practice, we will gently release the spine left and right, and then we will come down to the mat. So let's flex. Take your right hand outside, left arm up, and flex over. And then let's go to the other side. Do a few more of these. Do one more on each side. And then take a twist. I nearly forgot. Bring your right hand behind you, sit tall. And then take it all the way around to the other side, sit tall, breathe in, breathe out, rotate. Good, come back to face forward. Let's come down onto our back now. Finish the practice, one more pose to go. So come down, constructive rest pose, knees pointing up. Just adjust, wardrobe adjustment. Let's finish with happy baby pose, Anandabalasana. Bring your knees up and out, bending the knees and reaching up to either grab inside the feet, or as before, you can reach outside and grab behind the thighs, the knees, or the calves. Relax the shoulders. And reflect on a practice well done. As with everything in yoga, the more we practice, especially these challenging multi-stage poses, the more we will notice the results of our practice. Have a few more breaths here in happy baby pose. And then release your connection. Bring your knees into the chest. Give yourself a final hug.
And then from here, you'll want to take a few minutes to rest the body. So either head into Shavasana and have straight legs, feet wide to the edges of the mat with the arms out at the side and the palms facing up. Or take constructive rest with your feet on the mat and your knees pointing up. And then allow the body to absorb the practice, to settle, and just allow the body to be. I will say thank you for your practice today, and I hope to see you very soon on the next video. Om Shanti Yogis.